Before we start this video, do like and subscribe to our channel and not miss on any updates.
Now, before we begin with the chapter, as I told you, I'm going to introduce you to some terminologies that we are going to use as a part of audit. I believe you to understand this at this point in time because over a period, I strongly recommend you that these particular words, you get used to it. It is very important that when you write a paper like audit, the theory, the content when you write, I would rather say that you study it in the proper language itself so that when you write in the exam, it will not be an additional effort at your end. So because of which, when I deliver the lecture, when I'm going to explain you any concept, I would try focusing more on the language which is required to be written in the paper. What will happen is, you're listening to a very simple English and then remembering all the technical jargons and then bringing into the paper will become very difficult. So why not in the very beginning, when we start learning the subject itself, we will learn with the understanding of the very word which has to be used in the exam. So because of which, my very clear understanding is, when I start using it from the very day one, automatically you will study the subject in the same way and then there will be no additional effort at your end to actually memorize these terms, remember these terms and then be very careful to use these terms in the exam. Rather, it will automatically flow. And you will start learning the language in the right way in which it has to be written in the exam. Because of which, I will now give you some important words which are required to be understood in the right way, and these words are required to be given in the examination. So when you write these words, these have to be written the way they are. Okay? So I'll pick up few of them, and as we progress with the subject, few more will be introduced in between. As and when they come, I'll be explaining you in detail. But what I've picked up a list now is something which we are going to use very commonly. And because of which, when I get into the subject, I don't want you to be thinking, what is this word? What is the meaning of it? That kind of confusion should not be there. So because of which, at this juncture itself, I will tell you what are the meanings of these terms. And I would rather recommend that you would actually use this word only when you're preparing also. Okay, now, throughout the syllabus, wherever we are coming across the word audit, it would simply mean it is the audit of financial statements. Okay. And wherever we are going to mention the word auditor, we are talking about statutory auditor. Okay. This statutory auditor, what he will do is, he will verify the financial statements, that is balance sheet P&L. Okay. And he will give a report to whom? The members. Okay. That is the owners. This audit, what he is going to do, he will be doing it as per standards on auditing. So these standards on auditing have to be followed by whom? Statutory auditor. So the audit throughout whatever we are going to use is the statutory audit. Unless otherwise whether strictly mentioned cost audit, we're talking about internal audit, the word will be given very precisely. Otherwise throughout audit is nothing but statutory audit. One thing is that. Second is about misstatement. Do not use the word mistake. Do not use the word error. In audit, when we are talking about a mistake, we call it to be a misstatement. When financial statements are wrongly stated means it was supposed to be 10,000, they have reported as 20,000. They were supposed to give a disclosure, they have not given a disclosure. In this case, we say it is misstatement. We don't say it is a mistake, it is an error, no. In audit, when you are going to use the language for any kind of, difference between what had to be and what it is, we will call it to be misstatement. So the auditor will be looking for misstatements in the financial statement. Okay, it is not his duty to look at the misstatement, but as a part of his audit, he will, if he comes across a misstatement, try avoiding the use of word mistake or error. You will get used to the word misstatement. Okay, so that is misstatement. What was supposed to be reported and what is reported. If it is mismatched, we call it to be misstated. Okay, then throughout audit, we will be talking only about material misstatement. As an auditor, it is impossible for us to check each and everything. So because of which, when we are planning the audit in the very beginning, what we do is we freeze the material level. This material level obviously will not be same for every client. Every client size will be different, structure will be different, nature will be different, complexity will be different. So every auditor, when he takes up any particular audit engagement, he will be having a separate materiality level fixed. For example, if I say 10 lakh is the material limit, then any misstatement identified by the auditor at or above 10 lakh, we call it to be a material misstatement. So if I find a misstatement of 12 lakh rupees, we call it to be material misstatement. And if this is the misstatement identified, then only we'll do the further procedures and try to evaluate in detail. If suppose I have found somewhere at 7 lakhs, okay, this will be ignored by the auditor because this is immaterial. However, we cannot say completely ignored, because when we do SA 320, we will study a concept called as performance materiality, where we will talk about a different concept. As of now, for you to understand the materiality, it is a limit freezed by the auditor over and above which we are going to consider those matters. Material means what? If this is wrong, it will impact the decision of somebody. If this is not wrong, if it is wrongly stated also, doesn't matter. That is immaterial. But what is going to matter, we call it to be what? Material, which the auditor will freeze a limit, and then the users also will understand that the financial statement which the auditor is reporting on, his opinion is going to be only on what? That they are free from, not all misstatement, from material misstatement. Okay, so we are focusing on material misstatement. So when the auditor does the audit, are we saying everything is correct, or we are saying they are free from only material misstatement? That means nothing is so bad in the financial statement which is going to affect, okay, the decision making or something like that. That is called as material misstatement. Then comes to reasonable assurance. Okay, reasonable assurance is the word we are going to use it very regularly, because in audit we don't check 100% of transaction, we do audit on sampling basis. Okay, so it is very simple. If you take a cake, okay, if you eat even a part of the cake, you'll be able to tell how the cake is. So this part of the cake is getting tasted by you, and you are giving an opinion on the overall cake, how it is tasting. So on the same way, audit will be done. So you will do a part of few purchases and you will tell how the overall purchases are. You will check only a part of sales and you will tell how the overall sales are. So basically, because you're doing only a part checking, a test checking is done by you. So you will not be able to give absolute assurance. You will be able to give only reasonable assurance. So auditor is not telling everything is true and correct. Auditor is telling everything is true and fair. So in audit, when at the end, the auditor will give opinion on the financial statement, it is going to be on the truth and fairness of the financial statement. That means he is giving a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from what? Material misstatement. Got it? That is the understanding. Then, opinion we are going to discuss in detail, where we have two types of opinion, modified, unmodified. For you now to understand if it is true and fair, it is unmodified opinion, good opinion. But if it is modified, what are the different modifications? All of that we study as a separate thing. Then in audit, every now and then we are going to come across two people, two kinds of people or two category of people. One we call them to be management, other we call it to be TCWG, those charged with governance. Understand, management means the people with whom we are going to have a communication with regarding to anything that we are going to check. Like for example, if you want to verify anything, the people we are dealing with, we are going to call them to be management. But people over and above the management are considered to be TCWG. Like for example, audit committee. Auditor always will first interact with the management, like the finance manager, the executive managers, all of those. He will first talk to them and get information from them. If this information happens to be unsatisfactory, or these people are delaying giving the information to the auditor, or they are hesitant in giving the information to the auditor, then in that case, the auditor will go to the top level people. Okay, these are basically the board of directors, the audit committee, the subdivisions of the board of directors, the main people in the organization, the diffusers, the people who are bringing in capital in the business, the owners basically we can say, okay, the decision makers. So then auditor, if they don't give the answers from the management and all, then they will communicate with the top level people. And in audit, these top level people, we call it to be those charged with governance. Those charged with governance. So throughout we are going to use the word TCWG. Okay, so whenever the auditor comes across a misstatement, which he believes it to be a material misstatement, he will first communicate with the management. And if the management does not give a satisfactory answer or does not give an answer absolutely, the auditor will communicate with TCWG. If TCWG also does not give the answer to the auditor, if it is unsatisfactory, then only it will come in as audit opinion. That is audit report. So whenever you bring anything in the audit report, the route will be you go to the management, go to TCWG, then only you will bring in the audit report. Got it? So you have two terms, management and TCWG. Okay? Then you have something called as assertion. Assertion is what the management is telling. This what management is telling is what we are going to check. And we validate the assertions of the management. So suppose if the management is giving you a balance sheet in hand, which is prepared by them. In that there is building, in that there is land, there is plant, there is inventory, there is stock. So there is number given here. So when the management is handing over the balance sheet to the auditor, implied or expressly the management is telling, look, we have a building. This building's valuation is so much. If building is here, that means the ownership of the building is with the management. So basically management is telling, we have a building, we are the owners of the building is physically existing, we are using the building for the business, the value of the building is so much. So whatever the management is telling, that is assertion. And what the auditor will do, will validate the assertion of the management. So he'll inspect the copies whether really the ownership of the building is with them. They will do the physical verification of the building. They will check the valuation of the building. So whatever management says is assertion, and what the auditor will do is validate the assertion of the management. Got it? Then one more important word that you're going to come across is financial reporting framework. Now I told you it is the duty of the auditor that the management will prepare the financial statements, hand over the financial statement to the auditor, then whether these financial statements are prepared appropriately or not, on that the auditor will give the opinion. When I say financial statements are prepared appropriately or not, I simply mean whether financial statements are prepared as per financial reporting framework. Financial reporting framework, to give a simple example, if you talk about a company, the financial reporting framework for the company is Schedule 3. So whether the company is preparing the financial statements as per the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013, plus are they following all the relevant accounting standards and Ind AS for the purpose of complying, okay, with the proper accounting principles. Whether all the accounting policies adopted by them are correct or not, consistent or not. All of this in a nutshell we call it to be financial reporting framework. So basically our opinion will be whether we have obtained a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. That means they are prepared in all material respect in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Got it? So financial reporting framework is whether it is complying with all of this. Clear? So these are some of the terms that we are going to come across throughout the course of audit. But only because at that point in time, you should not be blank. That is the reason I've given an introduction to all these words. Okay. Now we are in the proper position to begin with the first chapter, that is nature, objective and scope of audit.